Let me know when you're ready to start. You ready? Good morning. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Monroe County Board of Commissioners. It is Wednesday, September 21st. All three commissioners are present. I will begin with our public statement. We, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, renew our commitment to welcome and protect the rights of all people, regardless of age, race, color, creed, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, marital status, economic status, and national origin. And we affirm the right of every person to live peacefully and without fear, and we will fight and resist at every step discrimination and harmful policies, whatever their source. We also stand in support of our public school systems, both RBB and MCCSC. All right, and with that, we will move on to our department updates. Good morning, Ms. Kelly.
Good morning. We are currently at a medium CDC COVID-19 community level. Those at high risk of getting very sick may choose to wear a high quality mask to better protect themselves. The health department has free COVID-19 tests available. You may walk in Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. to request tests to take home. The public health clinic has COVID-19 vaccines available. Appointments can be made by calling 812-353-3244. IU Health Positive Link has administered 327 first doses and 78 second doses as of the end of last week for monkeypox. We continue to thank them for their dedicated community support efforts and diligent work.
All right, thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens?
No.
Commissioner Jones? All right, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, next, let's see if there's any other departments that have comments, an update for us. Okay, seeing none, we'll go back to our agenda for public comment. The public comment period is for items that are not on our agenda. Each commenter will have a total of 3 minutes to speak. At 2 minutes and 30 seconds, you will hear a tone to indicate that you have 30 seconds remaining to finish your statement. Again, this is for items not on our agenda, but the 3-minute rule also holds for other agenda items. Good morning.
Good morning, commissioners, staff. This is Christopher MG from the Greater Bloomington Chamber of Commerce. I have a pair of items I quickly want to run through. 2 weeks ago, I commended this body for using their work session to restart talks with the city regarding the expansion of the Monroe County Convention Center. While I'm unaware of a follow-up meeting at this time, I'm hoping the commissioners can keep that momentum they created during that last discussion with representatives from the County Council, Bloomington Common Council, and the city's mayor office. This effort ushered in that new era of intergovernment collaboration that will require your continued initiative. Time is of the essence, as we previously outlined regarding the food and beverage tax possible sunset. Once again, we appreciate your due diligence and look forward to the next scheduled discussion. On a separate note, the chamber is hosting our Elect Connect on Monday, October 3rd. That's 5:30 at the Dimension Mill. We will have an opportunity for chamber members and the community at large to network with candidates and elected officials in our community in a non-stuffy environment, free of long speeches. We would appreciate all three of the commissioners in attendance and any of the public wanting to meet candidates on the ballot and elected officials. There will be free appetizers and a cash bar. To register, just go to Chamber Bloomington/events. And on a third little note, there's still time to register to vote. The turnout for these off-year elections are rather low, so your vote counts even more than it would typically. So thank you for your time this morning.
All right, thank you. It looks like we have public comment from a member of the Zoom audience, Guy Loffman. Can you bring him forward to speak, please? I know he's a Monroe County resident.
Hi, am I on?
Yes, you are.
Great. I wanted to thank all three commissioners for your attendance at the rally on the courthouse square and allowing that to go forward concerning the importance of healthcare, including abortion rights for all of the Indiana residents. Of course, it's important to women, and of course, it's important to men. And I'm very pleased that we have commissioners who stand up publicly for such an important matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Loffman. Does anyone else have public comment for items not on our agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to our next agenda item, approval of minutes, please.
Move approval of the minutes from September 7th, 2022.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments, edits, corrections?
I didn't see anything.
Okay, excellent. All those in favor of approving the minutes for September 7th, 2022 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item, please.
Move approval of the claims docket, accounts payable September 21st, 2022, and payroll September 23rd, 2022.
Second.
Great, we have a motion and a second. Good morning.
Morning, Commissioners. Accounts payable for September 21st, 2022 is $6,102,027.60. For payroll for September 23rd, 2022 is $1,727,615.89.
Great, thank you so much. Comments, questions, please.
No,
Comments or questions?
no, I don't.
Okay. All right, let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium in the Nat U Hill room. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the claims docket, accounts payable September 21st, 2022, and payroll September 23rd, 2022, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Right. I will note for the record, we did receive a report from the treasurer. It is from August 2022. And now we will move on to new business, please.
Move approval of Effect TV Comcast Agreement Fund Name Election Fund Number 1215 and an amount of $2,352.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Do we have Ms. Martin joining us via Zoom? Or someone from elections?
Can't see the panelists.
Cannot see the panelists. Yeah, Mr. Cockrell.
If you want me to handle this, I can. We've reviewed these kind of agreements numerous times. This agreement is for the use of Comcast for, oh,
There she is.
there she is. I will let her take it.
Great, thank you. Ms. Martin? You're muted.
Good morning. I truly was not tardy. I am inept this morning. This is the Comcast commercial that we put on. Well, Comcast puts it on for us on several channels. It tells about early voting and when it starts and how to register to vote. My political campaign speech here, please vote. We start voting on October 12th, early voting. You can register up until October 11th. We have a facility at 302 South Walnut Street. It's huge. There'll be a lot of parking. That's what this commercial will tell you about early voting and polling locations. And we've approved these before.
Great, thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens?
I just wanted to remind everybody that this is to encourage folks and to improve our turnout, which really is important, as Mr. MG said.
Absolutely. Commissioner Jones?
I just want to mention that, wow, this is absolutely right on our agenda in the packet. it indicated it was for the primary.
Oh, I am sorry. It's for the general. Forgive me.
Yeah, okay, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's see if there's any public comments on this item. Raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium in the Nat U Hill room. Okay. Seeing none, we will come back for a vote. All those in favor of approving the agreement with Effect TV Comcast, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of High Tech Crimes Unit MOU with Indiana University, fund name, High Tech Crimes Unit, fund number 9159, in an amount of $253,488.17.
Second,
We have a motion and a second, and we have our prosecutor, Ms. Oliphant, joining us. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. As the commissioners know, I received a grant from the Indiana Prosecuting Attorneys Council starting this year to establish and maintain a high-tech crime unit, and I am partnering with that project with Indiana University. This is an amendment to an existing memorandum of understanding, and the reason for this amendment is to give the director a pay raise so that we are more competitive with other units across the state, and we don't run the risk of investing in his training only to have him leave us. And it also allows for us to lease a car through the IU fleet system. I just want to highlight that IU is contributing a lot of resources, well above what our grant award in this case is. So they've truly been good partners, and it is my hope that the commissioners will approve this pay increase for the director and a vehicle for his use. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens,
No, I'm glad that we're doing this kind of work.
Commissioner Jones?
yeah, I'm just pleased if we're able to hold on to someone and keep them with us.
Mhm. Yeah, the gentleman currently in the position is very talented, and I'm excited about what he brings to the unit.
Yeah, this is such a great initiative, and it's actually nice to remind the public that this grant is going to really help us out a lot in our community and surrounding communities. So thank you again for working on this initiative.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's see if there's any public comments on this item. Raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium in the Nat U Hill room. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the MOU with the High Tech Crimes Unit with Indiana University signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move approval of resolution 2022-26, highway surplus property.
Second,
We have a motion and we have a second, and we have Mr. Kreider joining us, who's our building and fleet manager. Good morning.
Morning, Commissioners. Richard Kreider, Facilities and Fleet Manager. This request is to approve the declaration of items for surplus. The retirement forms submitted are items from two departments that include broken and incomplete furniture pieces from the Highway Department and courts. Also, Highway Department vehicles, a tractor and trailer that have been replaced with new. Those items will go to auction.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I
Let's-
just
let's
want to
hear
make
from
one
Mr. Coughlin
comment.
first. Yes.
I just want to make sure it's on the record that one of the retirement forms for the judge's chair that says chair is broken and cannot be fixed has an item value of 0, but when they check the no box on the value of the item exceed the cost to auction the item, I believe that check on that no box is incorrect. That should be yes, that the value of the item
Thank
does
you.
not,
Yeah.
if I'm reading that correctly.
That's correct.
Okay, great. Thank
Just-
you.
Just clarify that
Yes.
that's not going to be sold.
Okay, got you. Thank you so much. All right.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens?
Yeah, I'm glad for the clarification.
Commissioner Jones?
no, I don't.
Okay, I don't have any questions either. Thank you for taking care of this. Let's see if there's any comments from the public. Raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium in the Nat U Hill Room. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving resolution 2022-26 signify by saying aye. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item, please.
Move approval of Bloomington Economic Development Commission Agreement, fund name, County General, fund number 1,000, in an amount of $30,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
And I would just note that the agenda cover sheet does say Bloomington Economic Development Commission, but the agreement says Bloomington Economic Development Corporation. So that's really who the agreement is.
Yeah, it is really the corporation. Yep. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jeff McKim here, representing the County Council. My colleague, Councilor Crossley, is also attending by Zoom. And we also have Jen Pearl, the President of the Bloomington Economic Development Corporation, or BEDC, in attendance as well. The County Council included in its budget $30,000 to fund our partnership with the BEDC in supporting local economic development. The purpose of this MOU is to allow us to move forward in expending those funds. Now, why would we want to partner with the BEDC? First, BEDC is a nonprofit that works to foster conditions for prosperity across all of Monroe County. It does this by convening partners around strategic initiatives and supporting employment growth. It sits, possibly uniquely, at the intersection of public, private, nonprofit, and educational sectors. And as such, we believe that the county is a key stakeholder and partner. Second, we want to support a holistic approach to economic development strategy, as evidenced by the Economic Vitality Project, BEDC policy memos, events, etc. These efforts continually seek ways to better support and create action to address community needs, such as quality of life, housing, better paying jobs, and workforce. Third, we believe that this is an investment in future-focused, good-paying jobs and keeping our local economy resilient. It takes focused, coordinated work to cultivate these types of jobs, and the Catalan expansion is one recent example. So what does the county get from this partnership? One, BEDC staff time on projects that impact quality county employment and wage growth. Projects in recent years included the expansions at Catalan, Bloomington Rehab Hospital, Phoenix, Tassus, Provelli, etc. This augments the work of county legal staff, as we don't currently have a dedicated economic development department. Two, information to help guide decisions making on economic development, such as the BEDC March memo, the ARPA memo, updates on the state of the local economy. Third, promotion of Monroe County to internal and external audiences, like the excellent Why Monroe County video series. Number four, and perhaps most importantly, a county voice and seat on the table ensures that the BEDC can and will expand upon and tailor their work to county needs. For example, county employment zones, airport support, and ensuring that we preserve rural areas while growing our economy. As is often said, the county is not the city, and participating as an active partner in the efforts of the BEDC is the best way to ensure that we are able to foster local prosperity while preserving what is important and distinctive about Monroe County. Thank you very much for listening. I'm here to answer questions. Jeff Cockrell can also answer questions about the MOU itself. And we have Jen Pearl here who can answer any questions about the BEDC in general and its activities with Monroe County. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to speak, Ms. Pearl?
If you'd like to hear, certainly welcome to. I thought if you had questions, she would be here to be able to
Well, we can go to questions.
address
That's
any
fine.
specific
Yep.
questions.
So we can go to questions. Commissioner Githens.
Well, we already have a seat at the table because we pay for memberships, correct? So this is not paying for our seat at the table.
This is paying to be a partner and to have the county really, the county's voice heard, not just one of many. But you know, one of the general concern, and Ms. Pearl may want to address this as well, but you know, one of the concerns, like I mentioned before, BEDC sits at the intersection of nonprofit, public, and private and educational sectors. And the public sector needs to be a big participant, a big stakeholder, a big partner in these activities. If we don't, then, there's always the risk that the BEDC is driven more by their private sector members. And we don't want that. We want them to continue to be able to be in a position where they're able to balance the various interests of the community. And so that's why I believe that, and the county council believes that having that kind of partnership is particularly important. And Ms. Pearl, do you want to also add?
Good morning. First, I wanted to say thank you so much for considering this. And also thank you so much for all of the county participation in BEDC initiatives so far. As Mr. Cockrell, or sorry, Mr. McKim had said, what we do is really sitting at the intersection of these sectors. Our membership is currently majority private sector. We sit at the intersection of these sectors and try to work a great deal with all of our local governments, with our higher education institutions, et cetera. Economic development at the end of the day is about bringing people together to improve our community as a place to live, work, and play. The other thing that's really important to us is that any jurisdiction that we're working with, our activities are tailored to that place. So, for example, knowing that the county has certain priorities in what it wants to advance and preserve in the community, that is something that needs to be considered very heavily in anything we're supporting. For example, the employment zones, the airport, et cetera. And so we appreciate and look forward to opportunities to deepen collaboration with the county.
Thank you. Other questions?
Yes, I still contend that this doesn't buy us, that we already have a seat at the table, but couple of different things, and Ms. Pearl has heard me say this already. I don't believe in unlimited growth, partly because we don't have the water supply to support that. We're already on the third sort of water source for our area, and so I think we have to be mindful about just unlimited growth for one thing. I also would like to know if this is just a one-time charge that goes to supporting the Economic Vitality Project. If not, what exactly this money will help to support sort of as a line item or line items in your budget?
I'll address the question about growth. We do not believe in growth for the sake of growth. Economic development has changed a great deal over the last few decades. Whereas if you go back to the 70s and the 80s, it was like, go get a building, put them in, get a company, put them in a building, et cetera. Economic development is about creating great places to live, work, and play. If you pave over paradise, that doesn't help anyone. And it's also focused on fostering conditions for prosperity. That's actually reflected in the areas of focus for the Economic Vitality Project, which are workforce, quality jobs growth, housing, quality of life, which I should actually say we've talked about kind of preserving local resources. A number of our members have really emphasized the need to protect, the lake, et cetera, because that's an important part of our community, public health, et cetera. As well as making sure that we're balancing land use. We're getting ready to actually release a series of white papers over the next week or two from the Economic Vitality Project. And one of the themes that came through is, hey, we need to balance preserving what we have while also creating smart growth for the future so that we're ready for whatever changes in the economy may happen and whatever needs we may have for the future of our citizens.
And I'll address the question about EVP. This is not a contribution towards the EVP. This is a general contribution towards the operations of the BEDC for 2022. The county council appropriated this money actually not as an additional, but explicitly in our in our budget that we set in 2021 for 2022. And so it is for the work of the BDC in furthering the interests of the county and local economic development, but it is not tied to or a sponsorship of the EVP.
Commissioner Jones?
Well, I don't really have any questions. I would like to comment that 20 years ago, I was vehemently against the BEDC. At that time, they were trying to insert McDonald's into the middle of neighborhoods. Basically, if it meant more building, it was automatically a good thing. I know that the BEDC has changed their focus quite a bit. And I really like the fact that quality of life has become something that they're taking into consideration. That is something that affects all of us. I also, well, I think we need to remember that citizens in the city are also our constituents. So even if at times it seems that things are directed more toward the city, it's still relevant to us. And I generally feel that it's better to know what is going on, what's planned. That allows us to have a lot more influence on how things go forward in the future and make sure that the county's needs are truly taken into consideration. I would also like to say something I've forgotten. If I think of it later, I will. Oh, I'm sorry, I remember. Isn't that how it always goes? I do think that because this is an issue that the county council cares about deeply and really wants to see put forward, that is something that we should take into consideration.
Great, thank you. So I guess my big question is, how is this different from a membership? Because we have a membership.
I'm sorry.
How is this different from a membership?
Well, and I'm also going to let Ms. Pearl address this from the broader BEDC perspective. From my perspective and the county council's perspective, we are one member among many members. But if we're trying to balance those different sectors that we talked about, public sector has to have a really big seat at the table. We need to make sure that the BEDC is able to and does take the needs and plans of the public sector very, very seriously, and that they know that they have the backing of local government when dealing with the private sector as well. So I think that's probably the main reason that the county council has for supporting that. And we believe also that I think this is something that the commissioners have said many times before, that we are different from the city. And our active participation as partners, not just as one member of many, means that we can be more demanding about what we want from them.
Thank you so much. In addition to what was just mentioned, this enables us to grow our capacity for serving the county, with as many projects as possible and within the county's needs. We have a great working relationship with Mr. Cockrell, as well as, members of the commissioners and county council. There's actually no lack of work to be done, as we're really finding out from the Economic Vitality Project. So this will help us to be able to sustain and also grow our capability for doing more of what's needed for the community in the future, as determined by everyone coming to the table.
So it's a different seat, but it is an ex officio seat. So I guess I still don't see the difference. I'm sorry. I'm trying to understand how this changes our current relationship with the BEDC. It doesn't.
Like I said, we have the ability to be more demanding of them. If there's something that we absolutely need the BEDC to pay attention to, or perspective that we really need them to take into account, we have more leverage as a partner than just one member out of many.
And just to note for the record that the Economic Vitality Project is listed as part of this agreement as well. I'm really hesitant because, we're often told when we come to council that there isn't money for things that, we feel the county needs, and that it makes it hard for me to be willing to say, well, sure, let's do this, because we're gonna come back and hear something about how the council cannot afford or Monroe County cannot afford. I also don't like the fact that this is a year-to-year, open-ended, agreement, because it says, the terms of the agreement through December 31st, 2022, which is fine, but then it says it automatically renews. And granted, it is September now, and I don't think it would be fair to say, give us a report in January, if we do this. So, the only way I would support this is to do a trial run to see what really changes, in a year. And I would be okay with moving the expiration date to the end of September 2023 with no renewal unless we would have to actively renew it. And that would require, yes, a report. How is this month, how is this focus on Monroe County? Do we feel like we have more of a voice when we're there? I just don't, that's the only way I can support this. And I don't know how my colleagues feel about that.
Well, I would support that, and especially because I still haven't heard how the money will be spent. And what it does for us. I attend the BEDC meetings. I am there. I know that they are working hard on a lot of different
They are.
things that do impact, Monroe County and the residents. So I'm not against supporting them, but I feel like we already, pay $10,000 for the 2 memberships that we have. And so, yeah, I'm much more comfortable with making this a one-time, 1-year approval, and then going back to review what's happened. Okay.
Mr. Cockrell?
I would just point out that this document is not automatically renewable. It is renewable only upon renewed, negotiated, or extended upon its expiration by mutual written consent of the parties. So there would have to be a formal action to extend this beyond the current term.
Where did I see that? I saw something in
Well,
here.
there is a section in it that says it could be extended pursuant to a section, and then I just read the section, so that
That's okay.
the extension would have to be through
Okay.
a formal writing,
Okay.
not
Okay.
automatic.
Well, and I don't think the deliverables are fair then, because it says prior to January 31st, 2023, BEDC will provide the county a report regarding the status and accomplishments of each item. I think it's too short of a time frame, to be fair. So can we make that the end of June? Is that the end of June 2023 instead of January?
I mean, in terms of, I would not be able to weigh in on sort of county requirements for this. We are certainly able to provide reports at any time. We actually do quarterly reports too on our activities that are posted on the website. So we are able to report at any time.
What do y'all think?
I think that one of the problems that we deal with in county government is that it's generally very poorly understood. And I think this could give us an opportunity to make it more clear to the people who are anxious to do things for the community, but don't always understand the county position on things. So I think there would be some value in this, but I do like the idea of it being extended, of the deadline being well, the end time.
Yeah.
Being extended.
Okay, so the $30,000 would cover from now through the end of September instead of $30,000. I think the payments need to be revised.
I do believe that in the county council budget work sessions, we have already explicitly placed another 30,000 for 2023 in the county council budget. So I don't know that I like the idea of pushing it all the way out to September. The idea was that this is a 2022 appropriation and project, and the BEDC has been acting as partner with full knowledge that the county council had put in an appropriation for the partnership. So, I mean, I could see, wanting a report maybe, what about first quarter, after the first quarter of 2023, but
So we haven't had this partnership seat at the table bigger than a membership. We'll have it for 3 months for $30,000. I mean, to me, it seems not right. Yeah, that's just my take on it. I don't know how my colleagues feel. I mean, we could revise this, get this revised and maybe even have it at our work session today. But I'm hesitant to do, because this is a 1 year, and yes, the council in budget work sessions has indicated yes for 2023. This doesn't take us to 2023. This is supposed to be for this year, and I just don't think it's fair to say to the BEDC, give us, the sum total of how things have changed in 3 months. I just don't know that that's fair to them and to us, so.
But it's my understanding that BEDC had already written this into their budget for the whole year based upon the
Mhm.
county council having this. And so it would seem reasonable to say, okay, give us your year-end report, show us how this $30,000 impacted and improved the lives of the members of Monroe County in general, and then make a decision and see the report they give us on January 31st, 2023, and then make a determination as to whether or not that was a good investment.
Okay.
I think that's a reasonable approach.
Do we need to revise this and come back, or can we just go with our verbal motion for an amendment? Mr. Cockrell?
What was the amendment?
We haven't had an amendment yet.
No, but you just said what it was, so go ahead. and
Well,
say
no,
it.
I said we've already, it's already written into this MOU that we would have a deliverable, that they would provide a report to us by January 31st of 2023, so that we could see how this money has impacted. I think it's already in the MOU, but that certainly we would, it would be the understanding that we wouldn't move on anything next year without seeing something that was very solid in support of how it made impacted things within Monroe County. Benefited the citizens and the taxpayers that are supporting this.
Yeah, it is the taxpayers who are supporting this, and that's the key. Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, I would certainly agree with what Commissioner Githens said, if we could have a report at that time. What I would expect to see from the report is, while I did just say that all city citizens are represented by us, they're also represented by a whole lot of other people, whereas county citizens only have their county representatives. So I would want to hear particularly what has happened outside the city limits that really benefits the county. And I also want to say that while I am willing to support this, I think that one of the things that needs to be done is figure out a way to have a viable community that is not dependent on growth. Growth cannot go on forever. It just can't. There isn't enough for that to happen. So we need to start looking in a different direction, even if it's called sustainable growth. It's not truly sustainable.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. Yeah, I just feel like we are I'm concerned because we are spending $30,000 for this year. It's September. We haven't been a partner with this $30,000 seat at the table all year. The money will go to BEDC. So, but let's take, go ahead and take public comment. TSD, can you expand the Zoom screen for us? Because it's, thank you. And we can see who's, yes, thank you. Mr. MD.
Hello again, Commissioners. This is Christopher MG from the Greater Bloomington Chamber of Commerce. I'm here today to support this agreement as it currently states. Along with the Chamber, the BEDC is an essential component to sustainable growth and quality of place in this community. The BEDC continues to work tirelessly to enable the retention and expansion of industries here. Their team is invaluable in shepherding the recent Catalan expansion that invested $350 million in this community with 1,000 jobs at $32 an hour. Their Kickstart program was fundamentally kickstarted the entrepreneur movement here that culminated in the Dimension Mill, providing the largest startup ecosystem in the state. The Chamber looks forward to collaborating with them in their economic vitality project. This countywide endeavor will look at our existing efforts and address those gaps in the economic development strategies. While we both have the Bloomington namesake, you must remember Bloomington is Monroe County and Monroe County is Bloomington. BEDC looks to enhance the entire community. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
TSD, could you please put the captions back on? Thank you.
I didn't notice that. We have Monroe County Councilor Ms. Crossley joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
We sure can.
Okay, good morning. Happy Wednesday and happy 21st day of September. It's Earth, Wind, and Fire Day. So, excuse me. I definitely want to come in and express my support and gratitude to Councilor McKim and Ms. Pearl for their work on this. And I strongly support this and urge for our commissioners to do the same as well. I had previously had a chance to sit on one of the meetings for the BEDC, and I see the work that is vital and necessary that they are doing and would love to continue to work with this. The work of the BEDC is to foster and implement community needs such as better quality of life, housing, and other needs related to the economic development of Bloomington. We've heard today several times, and the previous speaker just mentioned, we always hear Monroe County isn't Bloomington, or not like the city, but in ways we are definitely different. But the needs that we have that I just addressed out or earlier are the same, such as quality of life, housing, all of those things are no different than in Monroe County as in Bloomington as well. If some of our constituents, as we are elected officials and leaders of Monroe County, some of our constituents are a part of the city and it makes sense to partner with BEDC. I thank you for your time and I strongly urge you to approve this.
Thank you, Council Member Crossley. Is there anyone else who wishes to offer public comment? Okay, we ready to vote? Sure. Right. All those in favor of supporting the agreement with the Bloomington Economic Development Corporation signify by saying aye.
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 And I'm going to abstain. So it's 2-0-1.
Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Thank you. All right, next item, please.
Move approval of Bloomington Seal Coating and Paving Retainer Agreement, Fund Name, County General, Fund Numbers 1,000 and 1179 in an amount not to exceed $30,000.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second, and we have Ms. Whitmer joining us from Parks. Good morning.
Good morning. This is a retainer agreement for Bloomington Seal Coating and Paving, not to exceed $30,000. It is to crack fill, mill, patch, tack coat pothole fix at Cars Farm Park, Cars Farm Greenway, Vernal Pike Greenway. And if we have any money left over, if we need to next year, Limestone Greenway.
Right, thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner Gibbons?
I appreciate the fact that this is sort of a proactive move on your part. Thank you.
Well, I do want to warn you, we might come back with another retainer agreement next year if we find more problems.
Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
That's a good plan for maintenance. See if there's any public comments on this item. Raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the Bloomington Seal Coating Paving Retainer Agreement signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Move approval of agreement with Patriot Engineering on name to be determined in an amount of $7,700.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, Mr. Cockrell.
Yes, this is, and the next item's about the Fulton Pike area as well. This is to do some borings into that area. There are 15 borings that are going to occur, and this is just to help analyze what kind of structures and things that can go on that, check the soil samplings, just to make sure that what we buy, we can build what we anticipate to build.
Great, thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner Gibbons?
No, it sounds like we're moving to the next stage of testing here.
Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, I just think this is very important. It's critical that we make sure that we can really use this land the way we want to before we actually buy it. And this is one of the steps that will tell us whether or not we can do that.
Right. I don't have any questions either. I'm glad we're moving forward on this. Appreciate the due diligence. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium in the NAU room. Seeing none, we will come back for a vote. All those in favor of approving the Patriot Engineering Agreement signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of the resolution 2022-24, approval of issuance of local income tax revenue bonds.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Cockrell.
Yes, and this will kick off the council's discussion on how to pay for the property that we just talked about doing soil borings on it. Now, I will just note that when you look at this and other ordinances, we do, and what the council will look at, we do not actually name the property. We say that the property is going to be used for correctional facilities and other related facilities, language like that, because we are going through this process to determine whether this property is correct. But they also allow us to utilize the funding for design and other types of work that we need to do in order to get whatever property we use in shape. That is not to say we don't plan to use the Fulton Pike property, but we still have to go through, we're working with the city to go through their rezone process, and that's a contingency in the agreement. So I just want to point out that while this is focused on that agreement, if for some reason one of these reports, the previous report comes back poorly and says this is not then we could still utilize this money for that project, albeit potentially on a different side.
Okay. Comments, questions, Commissioner Gibbons?
No.
Commissioner Jones?
I'm just happy to be moving forward quickly.
So my question is more philosophical, I guess. So a band is a bond anticipation note, which obviously we need to do. What if turns out to be a different property and it's $12 million, or a different property and it's $8 million? Are we still, is it still worthwhile to go forward this way? Because we don't know for sure that it's this property.
I guess my feeling is that we have deadlines in our purchase agreement that require us to close by the end of the year. If we don't start this process now, we will have trouble utilizing this method to do that. I would say that, you know, I can answer that question too. If it's over 12, it means that we would utilize this funding and then have to find funding from a different source, potentially. And that's kind of the council's dilemma, but I would look at rainy day fund or something like that to
Right.
cover that gap. If it's 8 million, that's why we wanted to include language that says, hey, if we don't spend it all on the actual property itself, what are the other things we can do with it? So we wanted
Right.
to outline some other things we could utilize that money for in order to be able to spend it.
Great. Okay, that's good. Thank you so much. No, and I appreciate the fact that we do have to move forward with this because we don't have funding identified to this extent. But there is more work to do, as we know from the previous item on our agenda. And we still have to go before the City Plan Commission as well. So there is more work to do. Okay. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium in the Nat U Hill Room. Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of approving resolution 2022-24, approval to issuance of local income tax revenue bonds, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of the Monroe County Auxiliary Police Agreement, fund name and number to be determined in an amount of $45 an hour.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second.
Yeah, this agreement allows us to utilize our Monroe County reserves for instances where we need additional security. That the $45 an hour rate is kind of what was quoted, and I think their standard rate for all. This all started when we were looking at our courthouse rental agreement, and so our courthouse rental agreement reflects that $45 an hour, and this is to have a source where we could call in security and then be able to charge the users, the people renting the building, that amount. So we just wanted to make sure we had that firm trail. This isn't written specifically for that, so if there were other needs we needed to use them for, we could utilize this contract for them.
Right. Thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens?
No, but thank you for that extra clarification.
Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, this is a very worthwhile project and I'm happy to see this going forward.
Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium in the Nat U Hill Room. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the Monroe County Auxiliary Police Agreement signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of CSXT Railroad Agreement, fund name Vernal Pike Connector Road, fund number 8165 in an amount of $103,400.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. I don't know that we have anyone here from Highway.
I think Lisa is at
They're at
a
a conference.
conference, and so I'm well aware of this, and I'm more than happy to handle it.
Great, thank you.
One of the primary redevelopment commission projects that we are working towards getting bids, getting ready to let bids probably in the next 6 to 8 months. It's also has federal funding associated, is the connection of Vernal Pike to Gates Drive, essentially a Sunrise Greeting Court, extending that to Lowe's. And in order to do that, we have to have a bridge go over a railroad track. And this contract is with the railroad so that they can assist us in utilize it. While the amount struck me as being high, it didn't strike anybody else, as this was part of the original budget. And that amount was included in that. So that was my big surprise in this. And when I asked that question, they're like, well, it was included in our project cost. So
Yeah. Great, thank you. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens?
No.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes, do we have any idea of how long it might take the railroad to do this. They've really held up some other projects of ours.
I think that I can't promise anything when dealing with the race, but my understanding is that we are working with it and this is going to be a lot more on the construction side. And so I think they will have a more active need to be timely in that we're building something over their railroad and they can look at it when we're building it or not.
Okay, thank you.
That makes sense. All right, let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium in the Nat U Hill room. Okay, seeing none, we'll come back for a vote. All those in favor of the agreement with CSXT Railroad signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of Security Pro 24/7 agreement, fund name Stormwater, fund number 1197, in an amount of $60 per hour or $70 per hour.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. I believe, there you are. Good. I was supposed to say, I thought I saw you out there today. Good morning, Ms. Latonia, Stormwater.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kelsey Thetonia, MS4 Coordinator with the Monroe County Highway Department. I'm here to present this contract with Security Pro 24/7 for flagging and traffic control services. It's to serve our crews on the roads to protect their safety as well as safety of the public. And by contracting out these services, I want to point out that it allows our crew members with CDLs to focus on other tasks. So,
Excellent. Thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner Gittens?
Yeah, I didn't understand why the amount was $60 per hour or $70 per hour. Would you explain that?
yes. So they first offered the services with one vehicle and 2 personnel. We requested the extra scenario in case it's needed. It's more than likely going to be the two staff plus 1 vehicle, but we have some areas of the county where we have concerns for safety. Specifically, very winding roads, and when we ditch, our crews tend to get pretty far separated. So we wanted to have that option in case our crew supervisors felt it necessary.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
So we already have contracts with other flagging groups, so this is just adding this in.
Our last contract, we actually ended that a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
This
Wow.
will be our only flagging contract moving forward.
Great, excellent. Great, thank you so much. Okay, and I know we've had Security Pro working with us on a lot of different things, so it's nice to have a local company doing this, so good pick. All right, let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Raise your hand on the Zoom screen or come to the podium in the Nat U Hill room. Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of approving Security Pro 24/7 agreement signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0 as the bell strikes 11.
Thank you.
So we do not have any appointments today. A couple of quick announcements. First, a big happy birthday to Lee Jones. Sorry, I have to do that publicly. Thanks for coming to work on your birthday. All right, just a reminder, we do have office hours available 6 times per month. And all you have to do is go to co.monroe.in.us and click, look through the calendar, click on the dates, and you will see 6 different times, daytimes, evenings, when you will be able to speak to one of us. And we invite you to do so. It's via Zoom. So please join us for that. We're interested in hearing your thoughts, your ideas, your comments, your criticisms, whatever it may be. We'd love to hear from you. There is on the same website a link to the survey for ARPA funding. This is the state and local portion of the American Rescue Plan Act funding. And we are still planning and hoping to have a joint meeting with the county council to hear from people in the courthouse and via Zoom as well. But you get a chance to rank the projects and let us know what you think is the most important thing or things that we should work on and spend ARPA funding on. And that will be open through the end of September. And again, a reminder, register to vote before October 11th. And early voting starts October 12th. And that's coming up quick. So be sure that you're registered to vote. And is anything else?
Well, people can also apply already for absentee ballots. So that's
Good point.
something that is a form that is sent into our local clerk's office. So I encourage people to do that as well, if that is how they prefer to vote.
Right. Thank you. Anything else?
No, there isn't.
Okay, great. We do have 2 work session items related to planning. So let's say we come back at 11:15. That work?
Good.
Great. We'll be back at 11:15 for our work session. But until then, we are adjourned. Thank you so much. Okay, all right. I'm going to call to order this work session for the Monroe County Board of Commissioners. It's September 21st. We have two planning items. Please. Mr. Brown, ordinance 2022-26.
Hello, I'm sorry, I was having a bit of trouble there.
It's all right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Here you are.
All right. So this is a rezoned of two parcels measuring roughly 2.65 acres in the Richland Township. The owners are Timothy Wines and Pamela Joan Wines, who a few years ago legally changed her name to Sonia Lee. The petition site is the petitioner is proposing to amend the zoning map from limited industrial to agricultural rural reserve. The site is currently a pre-existing non-conforming residential use that is allowed under chapter 803 of the zoning ordinance. The single-family residential use is not permitted within the IL zone. The petitioner states that they do not foresee any changes to use in the future. However, they would like this rezone in order to add residential accessory structure, including, let's see. One second, just looking through my notes here. Here we go. They wish to expand this home to allow space to accommodate everyone, including the owner's mother, who suffers with Parkinson's, restore the old barn, add a greenhouse for gardening, potentially a small pool house, and add solar panels for energy efficiency. If approved, they also plan on removing the dual septic and attaching the sewer to accommodate any expansions. And here we see the comprehensive plan. Here are the current use. Here are the definitions for the current zones. As you can see, the agricultural rural reserve zone is what they would require. It is also changing from a chapter 833 zone, which means that it was in the 2-mile fringe of the county. And as per the zoning ordinance, they can only go to a zone that's already within the county in chapter 802. So again, if this request is approved by the county commissioners, the petitioner intends to apply for a residential accessory structure permit. However, if the rezone is denied, the petitioner may continue to operate the property as a single family residence under the requirements of chapter 803, again, pre-existing non-conforming use. Here are simply some aerial photos of the site as it stands, including it. For some reason, it doesn't show up in the aerials, but this area also as well is also part of the property. I don't know if you can see my mouse on your screen.
Yes.
Okay. And here are some pictures of the property itself. As you can see, there are already structures on the property. However, there is no limit on how many structures you can have in an agricultural rural reserve zone, as long as the total coverage is less than 15,000 square feet. That's per chapter 804. And on the right is an image of the septic system that they are considering removing and attaching onto sewer. And the recommendation was an approval with two conditions, one being that that a conservancy zone be established along this area here. Written commitments have already been drafted in support of that and are ready for signature. And the second was that if necessary, due to the fact that this house is I believe, considered a historic property, that the petitioner does not oppose to a historic preservation overlay being established on this property.
Okay, thank you. Comments, questions, Commissioner Gibbons?
What was the vote from the Plan Commission?
The Plan Commission voted, I believe it was 3-0. I need to double check that, but it was approval with conditions. with the conditions I just mentioned, the establishment of the historic preservation overlay, if done, be done so without protest from the petitioner, as well as the establishment of a conservancy easement.
No, that wouldn't be the correct vote, but we can,
Oh, wait a minute, I see it, never
it's on
mind.
the front.
I
page.
found it, yeah,
There you go.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
7-0 for the record.
There you go.
Thank you.
I apologize.
No, it's all right. No problem. We always have to ask you curveball questions when you're presenting to us the first time. Commissioner Jones?
No, that was very clear and I have nothing to ask about it.
Do we want to hear this next week, or is there any reason to delay this? Any issues? Okay.
Next week's fine. with me.
Yeah, you can put it on our regular agenda for next week or whenever the petitioner wishes. We're ready.
All right.
Great. Thank you so much. And, all right, next we have, Mr. Myers. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Myers, ordinance, 2022-31. Good morning.
Morning. One moment while I try to pull up this packet here. Just having some difficulties opening it, so one moment. Okay, there we go. All right, do you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, so this is REZ 22-6, also known as Ordinance 2022-31. This is the Ray Barn Ray Barn rezone or HP overlay. It is located at 4595 North Maple Grove Road. It is in Bloomington Township, Section 18, and it is 7 acres. So essentially at this location is a multiple historic structures. It's a historic property that is currently zoned estate residential. And according to the SHARD database and the IHSI County Survey from Monroe County, this property is currently rated as outstanding. It is the Ben Owens Farmstead. It's also included in the Monroe County Interim Report 1989, which also ranks the property as an outstanding historic property. So the rating O means that the property has enough historic or architectural significance that it is already listed or should be considered for individual listing in the National Register of Historic Places. Outstanding resources can be of local, state, or national importance. So essentially, the property owner is requesting the HP overlay onto this property to establish some of the protections that it allows, as well as to provide some of the flexibility within the zoning uses that the HP overlay can create. For example, oftentimes historic preservation overlay districts can utilize historic adaptive reuse as a use category within the zoning ordinance and form some different types of uses on the property that normally would not be permitted in their existing zoning districts. So for this particular HP overlay designation request, the property owner is looking to renovate the existing barn structure on the property, and they are looking to basically create an additional dwelling space within the barn structure. So they've been in ownership of this property, family's ownership, for quite some time. And the current owners, David Ray and his wife, they are looking to move out of the home structure, the historic farmhouse, and move into the renovated barn so that their children and their families or family can move into the farmstead so that they can still be on site for that. Okay, So this was heard by the Monroe County Plan Commission, and it was voted on. I believe it was a 7-0 vote. Check that. Yep. There were no conditions of approval, but I did include the criteria that the Historic Preservation Board had identified as being met for this particular property. And those are listed here. There's a group of criteria that a HP overlay petition must meet. Doesn't have to meet all of them. I don't think any of them have ever met all of them, but it's important to identify which of the criteria are being met by a particular petition. And these three are those. In association with events that have made a significant contribution to the broad patterns of county history, the distinctive characteristics of a type, period, or method of construction, and high artistic values. So in summary, this property has multiple structures, as I stated before. It has a farmstead house, barn, log cabin, as well as dry stone walls. There's also a small cemetery located on the site with a few headstones. There has been some communication between the property owner and the Historic Preservation Board about who may be buried there. And records are not quite clear. It could be the original owner's original owner's wife and her the original owner's wife's first husband and her brother-in-law were thought to be buried there. But there's some conflicting records within the databases that may suggest that they are actually buried at Rose Hill Cemetery. Right now that cemetery is listed as a ghost cemetery. So they're not 100% certain that anyone is actually buried there. But I'm going to scroll through some of these images here, and I will have a full PowerPoint prepared for you during the formal session.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Myers. Comments, questions, Commissioner Githens?
How does renovating a barn to become residents stay with historic preservation?
Sure. So when they get to that stage of the development or the project plans, they actually have to bring those plans to the Historic Preservation Board, and they evaluate it for a certificate of occupancy. There's a lot of rules and regulations that go into how you renovate and update an historic structure in order to maintain its historic nature without changing too much. And I'm going to scroll to this is the barn here you can see on the screen now.
Yeah, I looked at that picture earlier. That's why when I looked at it, I was like, how do you maintain some of that and then make it into a livable family? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep the beams, keep the, yeah. Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, this is a beautiful home, and given that it's been declared outstanding in a number of different ways, I definitely see this as being worthwhile. And I am aware of a number of different barns that have been renovated to become residences. They're actually quite interesting often. And I must say, this is one of the cleanest barns I've ever seen.
I don't think it's been used as a barn for quite some time.
And I love the old original log cabin. Also.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Nobody's moving in there though. So,
Well, I don't blame
well,
them.
no, I don't either. Bird to the house. All right, yeah, this is excellent. I always appreciate it when residents bring their properties forward and are willing to do this overlay. This is an amazing thing. It's a gift to the county, really. So any hesitation with putting this on our agenda at any time?
No.
So whenever the petitioner wants to do this, we're ready.
Okay, great. I will get in touch with them and let them know that.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Myers. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, let's see, there's no one else here, and is there anyone else on Zoom? Is department has something for us? Mr. Cockrell, do you have anything for us? All right, with that, we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.